puzzle game. So today we'll be starting on making the actual levels themselves. I had a few ideas on how to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by creating a brand new scene, and I'm just going to call it level 1, like so. I'll load in, close this, and what I'll do is I'll start off by creating what kind of level we want for this project. Let's just reset the cube. The light looks off in this. It looks so weird. Okay, it doesn't matter. So that can be changed later. So the first thing, so the levels are going to be extremely simple. They'll be essentially a plane with cubes surrounding it. Wait 1 second. So what I'll do is I'll start off by creating the base, which is the platform. So we're just going to create a base like this and call it platform. Now I want to make sure that the camera. So for the camera, we'll create actually, let's just create a cube for now and place it above. We're just going to leave it here for now. And let's prepare the camera angle, because we want to have enough space to do our entire puzzle system. So let's make this slightly bigger. Yes, leave it at this. This looks actually a little bit bigger. Let's make every level to be about 3 by 3. And now we are going to attach some cubes for the levels. Let's use some materials. So let's attach some floor, and then let's attach whatever material we have for walls. The platform says 0, 0. Yes, it is. So this is going to be 0.5. Now this is a very simple way of making walls. I'm just going to expand them. There we go, like so. Let's call this the wall. Just to duplicate it to the other side. Good enough. And make another copy. Center it. Turn it. Now, these walls will be slightly different a little bit later. For now, we're just going to leave them as this, as it doesn't matter. Okay, so now that we have this, each platform will also have an empty game object, which is going to be our camera focus point. And I'm just going to place it slightly higher and attach just a little bit of a box so we can see it. Now that we have a platform, so basically the way we're going to move, so each platform will be a level, so we can move from one level to another. And each of them will, of course, have their own focus points. For the sake of it, I'll keep each platform the exact same size. So that will actually limit slightly how, well, we can actually have custom ones later. Anyway, now let's set up the camera angle. So we want to have a kind of like a top down, but we don't want it to be fully top down, I guess. And we want to be able to see the entirety of the terrain. So I guess something like this looks alright, I think. We can play with the camera later. Now we're going to attach this to our empty cube, which is going to be our camera operator. This is what we'll use to move our camera. And this is essentially what we're just going to do. So if we open both of them in each scene, there you go. This is how you're going to travel. So you're going to travel between one point to another, like so. Now let's get this started. Actually, we need one more thing before we do this. So of course we want to disable the box elements. We don't need that, but we do want to have some kind of a marker for it. And now that I think about it, the camera has to be at position 0, 0 of our operator. Let's move it up. I'm going to move it to the second screen for a second so I can actually adjust it properly. There we go. So we're going to have something like this. It's good enough for what we're trying to do. we have the rotation set, we have everything set up. For now, I'm gonna set the we have, so it's 20. Actually, let's just make it 23. 22 is good enough, I think. Yeah. So our focus points will be at 22 up to match our camera position, the Y position. And now that we have this, let's create a UI canvas. Let's just drag at the bottom. Just change it to a scale with screen size. And what we'll add for now is just a simple slider. Let's change it so it's bottom to top. Set it to the left, and I'm actually gonna stretch it out all the way like so. How does it look? It looks okay. So what's gonna happen is, so the minimum value is gonna be 0, maximum is gonna be 1. We're going to start at 0. Yep, that's perfectly set up. And now let's create our camera controller. So let's go into scripts, and let's actually just create some folders. Let's create a game management, game manage, management, like so. And here we'll create a new C# script called camera controller. Now we select the camera, and nothing's loading. Hello, computer. There we go. Now we're going to attach our camera controller inside, open up the script, like so. Just going to get rid of the default field. So what we need is, so what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to move our camera between 2 points. First is going to be the start position point of our camera. So we will have a transform, private transform, and this is going to be our start position point as well as end position point, like so. I'm just going to set them to null by default so we don't get the yellow warnings anyway. Starts and ends position. And what we'll do is we'll create a simple update position, which we'll just do. Actually, we need a value, private float, and this is going to be our camera position, and we're just going to set it to 0 by default. We will actually do, for now, we're just going to set it as a serializable field, and we'll apply a range to it between 0 and 1. And what we'll do is transform.position is equal to vector3.lerp, and that's going to be our start position point, end position point, as well as our camera position, like so. And we have to just type in dot position here at the end, because it takes in vector3, not a transform component. So this controls our camera position. And actually this should be in late update rather than update, as it's for our camera movement. So controls camera movement behavior. Now, of course, we want to use the slider, but that's in a second. So now we have the camera attached, and now we have 2 sets of platforms. So let's open up each platform. Actually, let's drag the camera at the very top, and let's drag our first point here, and then the second point here, and press play. Now, if we now move, the camera moves. So now we have full control over how we want to move the camera. And of course, the position of the points will have to be adjusted based on where we want them to be. But what matters is that the camera positioning actually works fine. And what we actually also want to do is probably, no, maybe later we want to limit it only to Z movement, but we'll play around with this later. So now that we know how this works, we can just get rid of that. And what we will do is we will use our little slider. So let's get a reference. Let's create a public function, public void, and we will call this on slider update. And let's get a reference to our slider. So let's do private slider, and this is going to be the camera position slider, set to null. And what's going to essentially happen here is camera position is equal to camera slider dot value. So that grabs the camera value, camera position value, and sets it to that. So when the slider value is changed, it changes the camera position accordingly, like so. And now if we click on our camera again, open up our canvas, and we attach our slider, let's actually give it a name. So this slider is going to be our camera movement. Oh my god. Camera mover, canvas, game UI, like so. And here we click plus for on value changed. We drag in our camera in here, and we go into camera controller, and we look on slider value. So every single time the value is changed, it will update the camera script. So now if we drag our slider, now we can move the camera, and this is the sort of a camera movement we are going to use for this specific prototype. Now, this is going to be it for today. Tomorrow we are going to add some models for the AIs that we're going to use. And we will add some animations so they can move around. The game will consist of three movement animations that they'll have. First is the idle, second one's going to be the running. Well, movement in general, there's no difference between walk and run for them. And the third one is going to be holding an object. But this is it for today. I'll be back with this on Monday, and we'll be streaming this every day from Monday to Friday till it's finished. Thanks for today, and I'll be back on Monday.